All right, everyone, we're going to do a little bit of review now in preparation for what we're going to do in the following weeks. So this is something you have done in the past, multiplying, dividing, simplifying fractions. So here's your first problem. And I know some of you might get a little intimidated when fractions are in front of you and you have to solve problems with them. But really, it's not that hard. Let's start with this one here. Okay, so we have to first, when we're multiplying, this is multiplication, we have to first multiply the numerators and then multiply the denominators. Whenever you have a negative times a negative, you're going to make a positive. So we know that the answer is going to be positive. 1 times 3 is 3. 4 times 2 is 8. Then we ask the question, can this thing be reduced? And if it can, then that means the top and bottom both have a common factor, meaning there's a number that divides into both of them. But since there is not, then 3/8 is the answer. All right, how about the second one? 5/3 times negative 5/3. I'll switch colors. So we do 5 times 5, which is 25. And we could think of that as 5 times negative 5, so I'll call that negative 25. Over 3 times 3 is 9. And since 25 and 9 do not have any common factors or numbers that divide into both, this is the simplest form of the answer. How about number 3? Negative 2 times 2/3. Now, what do you do when you have just one number by itself that's not a fraction? Here's what you do. You put it over 1. Now it's a fraction. You can do that to any whole number, and it will still be the same thing. So 2 times 2 is 4. Negative 4, because it's negative 2. And then 1 times 3 is 3. Cannot be reduced. All right. Negative 2/3 times 7/4. Why don't you try this one? Two times 7, or negative 2 times 7, is going to be negative 14. 3 times 4 is 12. Can we reduce it? Well, is there a number that divides into both? 14 can be divided by 2, and 12 can be divided by 2. So 2 goes into 14 and 12. What's 14 divided by 2? 7. Keep it negative. 12 divided by 2 is 6. Now we have a fraction in simplest form. Okay, one more. Well, actually, we're going to do some division ones now. We did 4 of those, and now we're going to do some of these. So 3/2 divided by 1/2. Division. So what do we do? Here's the trick. With division, we got to think about multiplying by the reciprocal, because that's what we're doing. We're multiplying by the reciprocal. That's what division really is. What the reciprocal of what? And what is a reciprocal? A reciprocal is when you take a fraction like 1/2 and then you flip it, the numerator and denominator. So the number on bottom goes on top, the number on top goes on bottom. You flip it. That's the reciprocal. Reciprocal, this is how you spell it. And we multiply by the reciprocal. So this is the same thing as 3/2. First one's the same, second one flips, okay? Times 2/1. First one's the same, second one flips. That's how you divide by a fraction. Okay, now we know how to do this, right? 3 times 2 is 6. 2 times 1 is 2. 6 divided by 2 is 3. All right, let's try another division problem. How about something that looks like 3/2 divided by -2? And you're thinking, oh, well, you're telling me I had to flip this. How do I flip -2? Well, you write it as a fraction. That's how you do it. Watch. First one stays the same. First one stays the same. Second one flips. How do we flip it? We write it over 1. So -2/1 flips to -1/2. So this is the same thing as this, multiplying by the reciprocal. And we know how to finish this. 3 times 1 is 3. And we do have a negative because it's positive times a negative is always a negative. 2 times 2 is 4. -3/4, and we're done. One more. Okay, how about -3/2? -3/2 divided by -2. Now I have a lot of, actually, let's just go -3 just to make things interesting. A lot of this 3/2 business going on here. So how do we flip this? Put it over 1, then flip it. Okay? So the first one stays the same. You switch this to multiplication. That's another very important step. See how it always switches to multiplication? Then, that's not an X, by the way, that's a multiplication sign. Flip this. -1/3. Now, don't forget the negative. I know you're going to do that. Inevitably, a lot of students are going to do that. Don't let it be you. Okay, now -3 times -1 is a +3. And 2 times 3 is 6. Can we reduce? 3/6. Well, yes, because 3 goes into both 3 and 6. Divide by 3 on top and bottom, we get 1/2. And we're done.